Hi everyone, this is Erica from 4 Barrel Fitness. For those of you who haven't met me, I am one of the coaches at the New Albany location. The purpose of this presentation is to give you the practical tools you'll need to optimize your nutrition for the long term. I want to keep it short, simple, and actionable, so we'll talk with a quick outline on why nutrition is important, followed by a base understanding of what makes up good nutrition, and then we'll wrap things up with how to easily put healthy shopping, prepping, and eating into practice to meet your goals and lifestyle. Nutrition is the foundation of everything we do. It's your daily fuel, as well as the building blocks for healthy cells, tissues, organs, bones, and muscles. It's also the area that most of us need to improve more than anything else. If improved body composition, performance, daily mood and energy, disease prevention, or longevity is what you seek, nutrition is the most important variable that can affect all these goals. This is an image of CrossFit's hierarchy of development of an athlete. If you're a member at 4 Barrel, you likely spend 4 to 5 hours a week on training and exercise. However, most of us put very little thought and effort into our nutrition practice. That said, in order to achieve optimum health and fitness levels, our priorities should likely be switched to include an even larger focus on nutrition as opposed to exercise. So, what is good nutrition? Well, there's a lot of noise out there as to what the best approach to healthy eating is. Is it low fat, high carb, high fat, low carb, paleo, zone, keto, Atkins, Whole 30, RP? The list goes on and on. Here's the quick and dirty. There is no one perfect diet. There is no one size fits all model when it comes to the food we eat day in and day out. I'd venture to guess most of us have been stuck in a diet mentality where we have found those diets that promise quick results often end in quite a bit of restriction, which leads to a skewed mindset with food and eventually gaining that lost weight back once the diet has ended. You need to find the way of eating that fits best for you. With that being said, here are a few things that you should focus on. Getting a balance of macronutrients throughout the day, getting in lots of micronutrients, and finding an adequate balance of macronutrients that matches the needs of your body. So, what are macronutrients and micronutrients? Macronutrients are the bigger building blocks of nutrition and can be broken down into 3 different types: protein, carbohydrate, and fat. Healthy protein sources include things like meat, fish, and eggs. Healthy carbohydrates include starchy vegetables, fruit, and whole grains. And healthy fat sources include things like nuts, seeds, olives, coconut, and avocados. It should also be noted that fat is common in protein sources. Think fatty fish like salmon, red meat, and egg yolks. Micronutrients are the smaller nutritional building blocks. Put simply, these are our vitamins and minerals. The more quality the food source, the higher the density of vitamins and minerals. Many of the important vitamins and minerals you need come from food sources we just mentioned, but for purposes of our discussion on nutrition, we'd like you to think of non-starchy vegetables being your primary source of added micronutrients. These include things like kale, spinach, and broccoli. Long story short, we want to eat enough of each macronutrient, with most of our sources coming from real, whole, nutrient-dense foods. So, how much should I eat? Well, how much a person should eat depends on their age, activity level, amount of existing lean tissue, base metabolic rate, and goals. You can start to see that several factors go into this equation. Plus, understanding the exact amount of calories and or macros one should consume will always be only an estimate due to measurement variance in testing equipment, differences in metabolism, as well as only having rough estimates to the amount of energy a person expends in a given day. In addition, determining the exact number of nutrients and or calories within food will always have variance. Studies have shown that even the nutrition values listed on packaged foods are commonly off by 20% or more. And lastly, having the time to weigh and measure all of your food can become a tedious task that often results in completely giving up on one's diet. That's why we prefer to use a method that simplifies this equation, allows you to establish a baseline, adapts to busy lifestyles, and increases the likelihood of success. The solution? Your hand. Using hand estimates is a methodology we picked up from Precision Nutrition, and we love this method because of its simplicity, applicability, and likelihood to increase consistency in healthy eating. Protein is the size of your palm, carbs the size of a cupped hand, fat the size of your thumb, and veggies the size of your fist. One hand for women per meal and two hands for men. We love this method because it's dead simple and you can take it with you wherever. If I prep food in bulk on the weekend, I can apply these estimates as I build meals throughout the week. If I'm eating out, I can still use these estimates. Even if I'm on the road and a gas station is the only place to find food, I can still use these principles. Also, it scales with the size of the individual. If I have a bigger frame, I need more macros, which is adjusted by the likelihood of having a larger hand. Apply these principles to 4 meals per day to establish your intake baseline. This is how much you should eat. Once again, this is just a baseline. Listening to internal hunger and fullness cues will let you know if you should eat more or eat less. Our bodies know what we need when we tune into these cues. So, just because you should have one handful of protein per meal doesn't mean you have to. If you are hungry for more, don't be afraid to add more. So, what if I can't eat 4 meals per day? Just get your servings in. Example, if a female needs 4 palms of protein, 4 cupped hands of carbs, 4 thumbs of fat, and 4 fists of veggies per day, I could spread those across only 2 meals, thus 2 palms, hands, thumbs, and fists at each meal, and still see the positive benefits of getting in adequate nutrients and setting a baseline for energy balance. For most of the general population, nutrient timing isn't nearly as important as replacing nutrient deficiencies and achieving relative energy balance. So, what if that's more than I'm already eating? That's okay too. We often work with clients who have been eating at such a calorie and nutrient deficit for such a long time that their metabolism has likely slowed, they're not building lean tissue, and their body is holding on to fat. Getting adequate levels of micro and macronutrients is often the first step in jump-starting the body to be a muscle-burning and fat-burning machine. What if it makes me too full? Then just get as close as you can and don't overeat. Some simple rules are to eat slow and mindfully, that is, don't try to multitask while eating. And if fat loss is your goal, stop eating when you're about 80% full. There is not a single exact approach that works for everyone. We have to start with a baseline, see how we feel, and then make small adjustments. Side note, if gaining size is your goal, then being full is something you'll have to get used to. What if I don't want to eat carbs in the morning if I'm not working out until the evening? Baby steps first. Once you've proven to yourself that you can hit your hand estimates for 4 servings a day without fail for at least 2 weeks, then we can worry about carb timing and other nuances in our nutrition. We have made a few references to mindful eating and listening to internal cues in earlier slides, so now we will break those two topics down a bit more. Practicing mindful eating is crucial in maintaining an adequate balance with food. Knowing when you are full and knowing when you are hungry play a major role in when we eat, how much we eat, and what we eat. Staying present is important not only with food but in life. When you are present in a situation, you are able to sense and feel cues from your body. If I'm eating, I could be looking for my appetite to become suppressed as I get full, or for my stomach to start feeling fuller than it was before I started eating. If I'm trying to figure out if I'm hungry, I will look for cues such as a growling stomach, lightheadedness, or a hangry mood. Set a timer and savor every bite. If you struggle with rushing through your meals, set a timer on your phone and track how long your meals last. If possible, try to get them to be at least 15 minutes of uninterrupted time. Between each bite, take a minute to really taste and enjoy your food. That's one of the best parts about eating. If possible, try to eat every 3 to 4 hours. This will keep you from getting too hungry and energy levels up during the day. As always, staying in tune with those internal cues is so important and necessary to be successful in nutrition. The graphic to the right is from Renaissance Periodization. We like to use this because it gives us an idea of how much we need to focus on each piece of the nutrition puzzle. Simply by using our hand estimates, we can achieve relative calorie balance, adequate macronutrient intake, take into account food composition considerations, and to a degree, nutrient timing goals. Add all of that up, and that's 90 to 95% of the equation. There are a million hairs to split and questions to answer when it comes to nutrition. Is dairy good or bad for me? Is it okay to have grains? Is sugar going to kill us all? Different diet camps, different companies, and even different scientists would give you varying answers on some of these questions. However, one thing is certain. As body composition improves, that is, lean tissue increases and fat tissue decreases, all other markers of health improve. Side note, body fat levels can get too low, but that's an exception to the rule. So, how do we improve our body composition? 1. By eating a mix of macronutrients at every meal. 2. Getting in plenty of micronutrients. And 3. Achieving relative energy/calorie balance. The nuances of nutrition aren't nearly as important as consistently hitting these 3 goals. So, make nutrition a process of inclusion, not exclusion. Worry about how to get a fist of protein, a cupped hand of carbohydrate, a thumb of fat, and a fist of vegetables, times 2 for men, at every meal, and the rest will take care of itself. Do this day in and day out, and remember, consistency is king. When it comes to nutrition, sleep can also play a vital role in your success. According to the Centers for Disease Control, insufficient sleep is associated with a number of chronic diseases and conditions such as diabetes, heart disease, obesity, and depression. Needless to say, sleep is a huge factor to consider that can make or break your nutrition. Our bodies need sleep, and we should take this very seriously. It is estimated that a third of adults get less than 7 hours of sleep per night. We should be shooting to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. Now, I don't live in a fantasy world, so I get that some nights it just isn't possible to do this perfectly, but I'm going to provide you with some ways to assess if you aren't getting enough sleep and how to get more of it. Signs you aren't getting enough sleep includes, but are not limited to, having a hard time concentrating / having a foggy mindset, being unhappy or having a low mood, you're getting sick a lot, your workouts feel too hard, and you are struggling with your body weight. If you can relate to some or several of these, don't fret. We have some helpful tips to help you get better sleep. Build a sleep schedule. If you can, go to bed and wake up at the same time each night. Turn off electronics at least 30 minutes before you plan to sleep and de-stress. Create an environment that welcomes sleep. Try to get your bedroom somewhere around 67 degrees and make the room as dark as possible. Even just implementing one of these strategies can help you get better sleep. Did you know that stress can be a leading cause for weight gain? Learning to manage stress is a key factor in making sure all of your hard work with nutrition doesn't go to waste. When you are stressed out, you are less likely to make sound judgment calls, and this can often lead to overeating / using food as a way to cope with your emotions. Some helpful tips to help you manage stress effectively include: number 1, practice your breathing. You can breathe in for a count of 4 in through your nose, hold for 4, and then breathe out through your mouth for a count of 4. 2, get prepared, whether that's meal prepping for the week, planning out your weekly schedule, etc. Number 3, work out. And number 4, rest. Take time to do something that you truly enjoy. You can play or relax or find something that's de-stressing to you. Don't let the push of society tell you to go, push you into the ground and overwhelm you with stress. It's necessary to practice self-care in order to successfully cope with stress. It's not always the case, but when people sleep more and reduce their stress, they notice a loss in fat mass, an improvement of body composition, and a positive increase in major health markers. So, how do I put all of this into practice? First, it's important to understand that habit change, which is breaking old routines and establishing new ones, is the biggest hurdle to get over when it comes to nutrition. We don't expect people to change their entire lives in order to build the perfect diet, but we do want you to know that it will take some work and it will take some thought. The early stages are the hardest, but once you get the swing of things, eating healthy and balanced becomes more automatic. Also, it's important to understand that Rome wasn't built in a day. You will not become the world's healthiest eater in a week. Ask anyone who has truly folded healthy nutrition into their life in a practical way, and they'll tell you it took them years to get to that level. Nutrition is a practice just like anything else. Dialing in what works for you, what makes you happy and gets you to your goals is an ongoing process. So, to put this into practice, take a look at your getting started grocery list and begin to build your 3 per shopping list. From there, clean out your pantry and refrigerator to make room for those real, whole, and nutrient dense foods. See the avoid section on your grocery list. Make your first trip to the store and do your first food prep. Remember to focus on single or simple ingredients in unpackaged foods. You don't need to make specific meals for the entire week. Simply try to cook all of your meat at once and chop up your veggies to store in containers to be used throughout the week. Your first pass at this may take an extra hour or two, but once you get the hang of it, a weekly grocery trip and basic food prep can be completed in about 2 hours. And if it all doesn't happen with flying colors on your first attempt, don't worry. That's part of the process. Keep what worked, shed what didn't work, and dial things in a bit more the following week. Thanks for tuning in. And as always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to your challenge coach. I hope you guys have a great day full of all the yummy and nutritious foods.